Hello and welcome to our series of podcasts that we call Bytesize, where we discuss the role and impact of cybersecurity that touch the many facets of our lives. My name is Raymond Lee and I'm the COO here at VT, and today I will once again be your host. But this time we're not talking about technology. We're going to talk about possibly the most disruptive thing that's happened to us in the last decade, the COVID-19 pandemic. Globally, people are affected. And that makes us here in Singapore and here at VT no exceptions. I'm joined today by Joseph Gan, the CEO and co-founder, Jason, our CFO, as well as Chiang Kai, our CTO. And they're going to share with us their views on how they have adapted and how our teams have adapted to this pandemic. I want to start with Joseph and get his views on the impact of this pandemic to the company, to the industry, and what he feels our government has done and what other companies that we have seen and how they can play a part in surviving this. How companies have adjusted with their resiliency strategy, or what we refer to as our business continuity plan. Joseph, any thoughts?
Yeah, of course, I think like everybody else, I think everybody has made the transition to work from home as much as possible. Everybody has been looking how to quickly enable their digital services, even turning on secure remote access through VPNs, Office 365, cloud services, and all that. One thing I'm quite proud of is that even our HR and accountancy teams managed to digitalize all their work processes, right? Going to cloud services for all our applications. But of course, as a CEO, really at the beginning, the main consideration is how do we put in place our BCP plans. We did split teams. We looked at which essential processes needed to continue. Obviously, heavy usage of video conferencing tools, whether it's Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and so on. Of course, we did see a lot of organizations rushing to digitalize a bit. And I think in the broader cybersecurity industry, there was a concern that there were companies that were kind of putting aside cybersecurity considerations. I think that's starting to ease a bit. We do have a lot of clients that are coming to us and saying, okay, great, we've kind of handled the worst brunt of this pandemic, and now we really need to see how we can secure all these things and support our business processes that we have been forced to roll out at a very short time. But of course, I think like many other companies, we're not just looking at the here and now amidst this pandemic, but we're really looking at what this means for us in the post-pandemic future. What does this mean for user behavior? For example, amidst the pandemic, we saw huge upticks in digital transactions, whether for banking or payments or government applications. Everybody was moving to mobile applications. And of course, there's a concern around, is my business model still working? How do I tweak that in this new future? I must say, of course, amidst the pandemic, when this whole thing started, and of course, people look to leaders for certainty and for direction, I just had to tell everybody, look, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how long this is going to last. We had to freeze hiring. We couldn't just say, I'm just going to keep expanding and assume everything is going to be as per normal. Of course, travel was frozen. We couldn't quite expand in the same way geographically as we did previously. It was quite fortunate for us that we have been placing people in country overseas as far back as a few years ago. So that actually allowed us to continue supporting our customers and to continue to grow our business as well. But of course, expansion further afield where we didn't have physical presence was definitely a bit harder. I think that said, we did see customers, bankers, people starting to be more comfortable using video conferencing platforms as well. So that did allow us to continue some engagements with customers, even initial engagements. But just further afield, it's just more difficult to build some of those relationships. But of course, back closer to home, we did have to take a harder look at the roles, and figure out, okay, how is that going to change amidst all of this? So I know it's been a difficult time for everybody, like everybody else, we've had to adjust and really looking at, okay, great, now we've kind of managed this so far. Congratulations, you've survived till now. How do you grow beyond this? And I think all of us are looking at digital applications, digital processes, and the trust in those in order to enable our growth.
Yeah, you're right, Joseph. And I think, in a startup, it's especially important to think positive and never give up, right? I think the catch phrase or the buzzword today really is grit. I mean, this is a crisis of a lifetime. But despite challenging market conditions today, eventually the global economy will recover. It's just a matter of time. And when that happens, we all need to be ready for blitz scaling, right? So that we continue our journey towards our own aspirations and goals. Like for VKey, 1 billion VOS installations, or for us to become a global technology leader. But of course, doing this is easier said than done. In our search for growth, we may need to take this time to pause, to pivot or refine our business model, as Joseph alluded to earlier in the podcast. Right? We may need to think about adding new products that target the same segments but are more compelling value proposition-wise, targeting new segments, whether it's bigger markets or different verticals, with different channel strategies. We shouldn't assume that what we've been doing is necessarily the best way or the way that we should keep doing things. And look out for things like possible network effects so that we can make an ecosystem play. But again, as a startup or others who may be in similar positions, we need to remember that resources are always limited, maybe even more so during these times, so that while adding to our business model, while making refinements and fine-tuning the business model, we need to also sometimes subtract certain features, product lines that don't fit or may not be working out as well for us, so that we continue to stay lean and agile. Our mantra at the moment is to make sure we strive for efficient growth as much as possible, and let's see what happens after this crisis.
I would say that fortunately for us as a software company that already had a team in various parts of the world like Vietnam, Thailand and India, most of us were already used to collaborating remotely even before COVID-19 started. The great thing about having software as a product is that it can be produced from any part of the world as long as you have a computer that's connected to the network. Hence for us, the transition to fully working from home was rather straightforward. We had to ensure that everyone can access resources securely from home though, through the use of our very own VOS Trusted Identity Services to achieve 2FA for connecting to VPN and Microsoft 365 services. Due to social distancing rules and working from home as the norm, most of us can no longer go for lunch with our colleagues, getting distracted at home by our kids, and are experiencing a dramatic increase in the number of meetings we have to attend. We are all still trying to get used to all these changes and figuring out ways to maintain personal connections without meeting physically. COVID-19 has been a catalyst for VKey to relook at the way we operate, find ways to do more with less, and focus on growing our regional businesses through our network of channel partners, especially during the ongoing travel restrictions. Our team leads have had to make efforts to also keep up the same level of dynamics due to the extended duration of remote working. So for example, our company has stepped up the frequency of skip level and one-to-one meetings, and also various teams have regular virtual lunches or coffee breaks together. As the pandemic outlook continues to evolve, VKey needs to adjust along with it. So in summary, I'd like to say that digital collaboration enables everyone to effectively contribute from anywhere in the world, assuring business continuity regardless of restrictions imposed by COVID-19. The pandemic also highlighted the importance of having a good network of channel partners, not just to represent us in establishing good client relationships, but also to explain our solutions and deploy them. Finally, we have to embrace business agility by always thinking about how we can do things differently when faced with new challenges.
I think the common theme here is that everybody wants this to end so that we can go back to our lives as we knew it. I just want to remind everybody that it has been a sacrifice. This is a very serious matter. We want everybody to remain safe. So let's not rush back into it. Let's not forget the sacrifices we've made. Let's continue to stay safe. And obviously, one day when a vaccine is available, and if this has to go on for another 3 months or 6 months, if we can't travel until the middle of next year, I think we've taken those steps to prepare ourselves for that. And I think business has to continue, business as usual as we know it today. I think let's just brace for that period, and Jason talks about blitzscaling. I think when this pandemic fades away and the economy starts to open up again, there will be a huge rush back into the markets. But yes, although very sombering, not a very sombering topic, but at the same time, a very important one. Well, that concludes this episode, and thank you for listening. Be sure to look out for some of the other episodes that we posted in the links below, where we share more perspectives on some of the interesting trends in cybersecurity. If you'd like to post some questions to us, please do so in the link below. And don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook for more frequent bite-sized security tips. And I'd like to thank Jason and Joseph and Chiang Kai for their inputs. And until next time, we'll see you soon.